Salutations, viewers. My name is GameDame, and welcome back to another one of GameDame Reacts, where we are exploring the accessibility within God of War Ragnarok. And I very much love the accessibility portions because I'm a UX UI designer, and this is what I strive for with whatever I create a product myself. So without further ado, let's go ahead and watch Accessibility Explored with God of War Ragnarok.
My favorite part of user experience design is when we get to have a player sit down and play the game and experience it regardless of the barriers they might face.
That's literally the most important part.
Seeing players just overjoyed at the experience is one of the things that brings absolute joy to my heart. I hope that everything that we do to make accessibility better within the game, that's something that we can bring to as many people as possible.
I love hearing that so much. Accessibility Explored.
I'm Mila Pavlin, and I'm the lead UX designer on God of War Ragnarok.
My name is Sam Shafella. I'm the associate UX accessibility designer.
My name is Zhou Xiaoyi. I'm a rendering programmer.
Hi, I'm Kate Marlin, senior producer of the gameplay team. My primary job is to make sure that as I'm looking across the game, as features are developed, that designers and
I like that.
and
I like the look of that. That's
asking
pretty cool, though.
Am I taking accessibility features into account while I'm designing this? Is there something I can add systemically that will help integrate this feature across the board?
And you definitely want to integrate it earlier on rather than later.
Implement the accessibility features on the rendering side so that the designers are able to implement the features into the game.
Great.
Which is so smart.
User experience design allows us to look at accessibility from the user perspective. So we are the ones who are actually going into the game and looking at the different design problems that there are to solve within the game and figuring out ways that players can access that content regardless of anything that they might have
difficulty with.
Accessibility at its core is making sure that we allow folks who want to play a game to be able to access the game and all of its features.
That allows players to have experiences.
That opening scene was seriously so amazing, though.
As Kratos to traversing
That's
the realms,
one of my favorite
experiencing
moves.
the story.
I cannot wait to
features
see that
make
giant
it possible
jellyfish.
to do these things.
People are no longer
And these
limited
features are
by
really
their
important.
physical capabilities.
Yes,
They will
no
be able to
longer
enjoy
held
the
back
game
by
just
their
like
physical
anybody else.
capabilities. Agreed.
There's a saying in the accessibility community, never about us without us. And we
Yep,
really wanted
I
to
like
make
that.
sure
I like that
everything
saying
that
a
we're
lot.
doing is with the community and not just about them. So we have to reach out to fans and understand what their needs are when it comes to accessibility concerns.
Which is so
and we have
important.
to
You
reach
really
out
need as
through
much user
consultants and
feedback as
playtesters
possible.
to understand what things may be hindering someone from being able to complete the game.
It's always the best to be able to communicate with the user and see what they're happy with and what they want improved.
Some of the most inspiring things that I've seen that have made me want to think more about accessibility is seeing the stories that players have and how much it means to them when they're able to sit down with the game for the first time and play more than they ever thought they could.
Which is so important because you really want as many people as possible to play this game. Not only is it good for the company
With the last God of
financially,
War,
but it gives
we
them a
ended
better
the game
reputation.
understanding that there were major problems with the way that we were designing for accessibility.
Based on community feedback from the last title, we've incorporated several features into this title.
And they
make the
have so many
experience more
features
accessible.
too, which is
We
awesome.
talked to
Like,
them
I
about
was
what they needed in order
taken
to
back
play
by how
going
many
forward.
features they
And
have.
we started to prioritize things very early in production. I think that was one of the biggest lessons we learned, is that early production, making sure that we have everything in place at the beginning of the development cycle. If you're trying to bake a blueberry muffin, you don't wait until the end to put the blueberries in. You make sure that it's in the batter.
Yes.
And with accessibility, we needed to make sure that we put those blueberries into the batter at the beginning so that they could bake in and we would have accessibility at the end. By having controller remapping, by having assists for things that seem trivial, we allow people
They're
to get
never
past those
trivial,
blockers
though.
and
People who
experience it
think
in a
that
way it's
accessibility options are
intended.
trivial or
The
see
features
them
that
as
I'm
easy
most
mode
excited for players to
are
try out
stupid.
are the
Because it's
combat
not,
assists.
it can be
I
for
think that
everybody
these are
too.
just amazingly fun to use.
In the last title, we had a feeter called Recenter on Attack.
The recenter of
Every
attack
time
is a
you hit
really
an
cool
enemy, the
feature.
camera
I don't use
would
it,
make
but
sure
I
that
think it's a
enemy was
really cool
centered.
feature.
When we're looking at God
And I
of
know
War
they had that in the
Ragnarok,
last game.
We've expanded those combat options to allow for recenter on swing, which means that as you swing your axe in combat, you're going to slowly orient towards a different enemy.
This is one of my personal favorite
Oh,
features.
that's so nice.
Because every time you swing the axe or
It's
swing the
so
blade,
fluid,
the camera
too.
recenters towards the enemy.
This allows players to go into a space, and if you have limited mobility or if you're unable to utilize the look controls, you can still target different enemies even though you're not hitting them.
One of the most important areas of innovation that we have on God of War Ragnarok would be the increased controls access that we've allowed. So, for example,
Ooh.
players are now more able to remap.
I
the
didn't even know
controller
they had
and
all these
choose from a
remaps.
wider
That's a
range
lot of
presets.
remaps. They must have
The
really
feature
thought
that
about
I'm
it.
most excited for
I
players
only
to try
changed
is
my
the
dodge
collector's
to
mode.
circle and
Collector's
interact with
mode
X.
highlights collectible objects in the game.
Oh,
such
this
as
bird was
items, so that they're
annoying
much
to
easier
get.
for players to find.
I'm excited for players to try various features that we've created, from high contrast mode to traversal assist.
We love high contrast mode
auto pickup,
for our
and
colorblind
navigation assist.
babies.
Navigation Assist was one that I particularly am proud of because we went from not being able to have someone navigate through the game at all to having someone be able to
That
navigate
is so
using just
cool.
navigation assistance
The
ping.
assistant
So
ping.
we looked at games like The Last of Us Part 2. and
Yeah,
how they were
that's
navigating
smart.
players through
That's
their
a good
world
place
with
to
low vision
look.
play. And we took our own internal compass system and were able to actually allow players to rotate their camera towards the compass and navigate to their next objective.
Other features to look out for would be subtitle customization. So, for example, you can
Which
color
is
the
what I'm all
subtitle
about,
differently from
baby.
the speaker, and you can even
I
have the
love
speaker
my
name show up
subtitles.
or turn that off if you
Love
don't
my
like to see that
subtitles.
speaker name in front of there. You can set a background for the captions, so when you're seeing the text, if you need more contrast behind the text, that's an option that's added in there. Another cool, exciting feature that we added.
I always
was
have the white on
directional
black with
indicators
the
to our
person who's
captions and
speaking.
subtitles.
Even though
So
sometimes it's
wherever
easier
a
to know
noise
who it is.
caption
Oh, that's so
coming
sick.
from, the arrow will be
I
pointing
love
to
that.
it. So if there's
That's-
a character speaking,
that's
and
not
you see the
something I've
subtitles on the
seen.
screen, there will be an arrow pointing out also where that character is relative to the player's camera.
All these features will enable players to experience the game in different ways and adjust the challenge to their needs.
Some of the things that I found useful are just settings around kind of reducing the amount
Especially
of inputs I have
since
to do when I don't
exactly,
feel like it's
yes.
super necessary for me to control that aspect
Yeah.
of the game. This one has helped me by having options
I
like
wonder
traversal
how
assist, which
hard
just
it was
kind of
for him to
makes
adapt to
the
that play
character
style.
vault over things and climb up things automatically, which reduces the strain on my body, so I can just get ready to fight. rather than
Hell
just be
yeah,
spending
just get
time
ready to fight,
traveling over things.
baby.
I think a big misconception people have about accessibility features is that they're only applied to certain people.
It's not.
That's what I'm
about
saying.
making a
It's
game
not just
easy.
for
It's not about
certain
adding
people.
cheats.
It's not making that
Accessibility
easy.
controls are beneficial for
Literally.
everyone. It's beneficial for people with disabilities to be able to better engage with the game, but also open up those menus and see what they can do for you.
People think accessibility means easy mode.
Which it does not.
And
It does
is
not mean that.
absolutely not about easy mode. If someone is unable to use their hand, for example, it doesn't mean that they want a lower difficulty. They just need it to be able to set the controls in a way that allows them to use the controls differently.
I'm partially deaf, so I can only hear out of my right
Oh,
side.
man, I wonder
The
how
fact
they
that
did
have
this.
Audio panning made me really, really happy.
That's so
because
sick.
I still can feel vibrations from my left, so I just channeled more of the audio through to my right side, which enabled me to hear everything just kind of better.
I
Growing up
love
playing
that.
games
That is such a
one-handed
cool
was
feature.
Very challenging. Early games didn't have all the accessibility features that games like God of War Ragnarok and The Last of Us Part 2 have.
There's a stronger motivation there to be a better developer and a better designer when you know that you are making people's lives
Agreed.
better by allowing them
Agreed.
to play.
The future of
100%
accessibility in
agreed.
video games is very exciting. As we continue to innovate and the conversation grows, the experience just gets better for everyone. My hope is that it will expand beyond our current audience to include everyone.
The more every studio takes in information about what can make accessibility better, the more we can inspire each other, and
Yes,
the better we
yep.
can make all of our games more accessible.
Exactly. We need to
I
make them
really
all more
have a
accessible.
high vision of making games that are not just accessible in the way that you can just get through them, but that they're accessible in a way that they are enjoyable and create more choice for players. When we look at the way that the industry is turning, we're moving away from this idea of let's just get the player through the game and more into how can we make an accessible game the most enjoyable experience, and how can we integrate these
anyone.
things into our games at a core level so that every player has access to those things. And as we expand that, I think that we're going to see an industry that is not only more accessible, but is more enjoyable overall.
Snaps. Snaps all around. Snaps all around. 100% agree. You do not need to have a special disability or have a disability to enjoy the accessibility options. I sometimes struggle with just picking things up, and that's just because I am moving my thumb in the places it shouldn't be. Like, I was trying to get used to it the one way that they already had the original controller mapping, but I switched the dodge and the interact just because I'm so used to dodging on circle rather than X. So to me, that just made sense. But I mean, the amount of options that they have are absolutely stunning, and I'm so glad that they started it in the beginning rather than adding it on later. Like that blueberry analogy that this person used was the perfect way to describe it. You need to incorporate it in the beginning and not rush to incorporate it at the end, because it needs to be thought of in the beginning so that way they can build around it, they can build into it. And that way it's completed when the other tasks have been completed and they're not going back trying to fix the issue. Let me know in the comments down below what accessibility options you guys use. But I use these subtitles exclusively for sure. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I highly appreciate your time as always. But please do not forget to subscribe and or follow not only to my YouTube, but to my Twitch. You guys know where my YouTube is at. You can find my Twitch at twitch.tv/thegamedame. Thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.